Welcome to the Cyber Center for Biblical Studies. Hi, my name is Herb Bateman. Today we want to review a volume out of a new series entitled The Big Greek Idea Series. The volume is John's letters, and it's meant to be an exegetical guide for pastors and teachers. And we have with us today one of the co-authors to share with us a little something about this new book. Aaron, welcome.
Thank you, Herb.
So let's talk about the overall thesis of the book. For what purpose does this book exist, this volume exist for pastors and teachers?
It's trying to bridge the gap between the Greek text and the pastor, really. And what we're trying to do is to give the pastor, the student, the teacher, tools to think through the Greek text critically, to think about the English Bible translations critically. And so, when they see the KJV says this and the NIV says that, why is there a difference? Well, we go through those differences. Not only do we tell you what those versions say, but we also giving you an explanation of why, what a correct or more probable translation of that would be, and why that is, and why is there a difference. And we let you know all the things that are going on behind your English text, because we want you to be able to explain it and understand it better.
Okay, so how does this book unfold? What can a reader expect? He buys the book. What can he expect as he works his way through this book? How's it divided?
First of all, you have written an amazing introduction to John's letters, and we give you there like John's style. What are some typical things? What kind of Greek clauses does he tend to use? What kind of participial phrases does he tend to use? What are quirks of his style? Because, each biblical author has their own idiosyncrasies, and if you know them up front and you spot them, it's a lot easier to interpret. One of the ones in John that's very important is the phrase en tuta, or like the demonstrative pronoun, and when does it refer to something that's coming up? When does it refer to something that's going backwards? And so we bring up some of those things in introduction to help you understand John before we even get into the Greek text. And we also have really great charts there that show you how John tends to use parts of speech, and how he tends to use independent clauses and dependent clauses and things like that. And then we give you an English overview of the different sections of John. So you'll come to a passage and we'll tell you what it's about. We'll give you the big idea. That's what that comes from the big Greek idea, is we're trying to sum up a preaching unit for you. And our goal there is to help you to be able to say, okay, this is what this passage is about. This is what I'm going to be preaching on. And then we show you how that's supported by the text. Then we give you something I think is really helpful. We give you a structural outline of the Greek passage. And so we'll have the Greek, and we'll have the English translation below it. So if you're a little bit rusty on your Greek, that's okay, that we have them both right there for you. And hopefully you can remember all those vocab tests that you took back in Greek, and that'll help you remind you. And you don't need to read the Greek on your own, because we got the English right below it. But it also, and I think this is one of the most helpful things for preaching, is the structural outline. It shows you the independent clauses and the dependent clauses and how they're related to each other, and it really brings out the main points for you, and those are going to be the things that you should be preaching on. And then we go into a note section where we explain all of the choices that we've made in our particular translation. We also tell you how other scholars, how other translations have dealt with that same issue maybe differently than we have. And then finally, we've got these nugget sections where we give you some more text critical knowledge, or semantic knowledge, lexical stuff, grammatical issues that are kind of different than the structural markers, just to add a little bit more depth and a little bit more color, make it more like a commentary than just a grammar. Okay.
How does this compare with other commentaries? In some ways, it sounds like, it is a commentary, but in what way is it like a commentary? In what way is it unlike a commentary? How might you describe the uniqueness of this particular project?
Yeah, it is very unique, and because it has lots of different features from a lot of different critical works. But it's also written in a very easy to understand way. So like I said, it's kind of like an interlinear, because we have the Greek text, we have an English translation below it, we have everything parsed for you, we have everything classified for you. But we also have commentary-like things as well, where we deal with different grammatical issues and text-critical issues and lexical issues, and we show you how to think about those things. But the greatest contribution is it takes a lot of that stuff from a critical commentary that a pastor might not ever want to wade through, and it kind of puts it up in a very easy to read way with all this other great stuff that pastors always use. And so it's very unique in how it combines a lot of different things into one work.
Okay, good. How might you use it? I mean, think, we wrote it.
Right.
So when we wrote it, and we wrote it with the pastor in mind, how might a pastor use this book? Would this be the sole work he would use? Would he use this in exclusion of all other type of works? Or how might you recommend the use of this work?
Yeah, I think, for me personally, as far as my sermon prep goes, I spent a lot of time learning Greek, and so I don't want to just forget it all. I want to use it. I at least want it to inform my sermons. And so I think that just by pulling this book out and just looking at the structural outline, looking at the Greek myself, getting my eyes on it, reminds me of my education. It reminds me that there is something going on behind the English text. And so now I'm aware of that. I'm not just taking an English text at face value or commentary at face value. My own eyes are on the Greek text, and I'm remembering the things that I was taught. So I think that's helpful. Also, like I said earlier, we're bringing out that structure for you. And so just being able to visually see that structure and say, okay, well, there's the main verb. That must be the main idea. And this is causal. That's, there's given us a reason for that main idea. And all of a sudden, the outlining process of my sermon is getting easier because I can see it very visually. And then when there's issues where there's differences of opinion, you can go right to that note. And so say you're reading another more expositional commentary, and they mention, well, you could take it causal, or you could take it means. You can go to that note, and you can say, well, okay, and we've got those options for you, and we tell you why we think it's causal, and we give you the reasons why. And so, but the giving of you of the options, the listing for you of all the different ways that English translations have taken those, it gives you so much knowledge to just be able to make up your own mind like that. Instead of, I got 3 commentaries and they all disagree, I don't know what to believe. Here's the Greek text, here's the note, here's what all these English translations say, and in a few seconds you can make up your own mind.
Okay. So this commentary or this book, John's Letters, will be a great help for when you are using another critical commentary where they may not be able to get into the nitty-gritty like we do in this particular book. The nitty-gritty is done for them because of space.
Right.
And so, well, good. Well, Aaron, thanks so much for sharing with us this new work. And of course, I've enjoyed working on this book with you, and so it's nice to see it finally out. And I trust that you might consider purchasing it. We did write this with you as a pastor and a teacher in mind to help streamline your study time. And so I trust that this might be a work that you might consider purchasing for your library. But in the meantime, I trust that you will walk with the King and be a blessing.